welcome back to the show, Tiff. I love our chats and I couldn't wait to have you back to talk about intuition. Um, I love this topic. I love all the topics that we talk about. I don't have a favorite one.
Well, that's good because I don't have a favorite one either. I love this, like every topic that we've come up with so far. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be fun.
Yep. Yep. Love it. So I know intuition is something that like we talk about in our coaching, you talk about with the other ladies that you do, and you also hosted a masterclass about it as well. So I'm so excited to dive in. So let's just start by how would you describe like intuition? Like, what is it?
So, intuition is, I like to think of it as like your extra sense or your sixth sense. So, we have the five senses, and that's how we live in the world, right? Is through sight, sound, smell, touch, taste. And intuition is almost like another sense that we have, um, but we don't talk about it as much. So we're not used to it and we're not quite sure how it works or how to utilize it. And there's
Mhm.
different ways that it can show up for each of us, which is why it makes it kind of tricky. It's not the simplest thing to teach people about because the way that intuition shows up for me may be slightly different to the way that intuition shows up to you. And so, if I teach you how I connect with intuition without knowing all the other ways, you might be like, well, I obviously don't have it. And it's like, no, everyone has it. Everyone has intuition and everyone has a ability to reconnect with this extra sense that we all have. And you can actually use it to help you navigate life just like you use your other senses.
So when you say that everyone's different, because this is really intriguing to me. So when I feel that, yep, I'm making the right decision, I'm on my way, I feel it in my gut,
Mm.
right? Is that what you're saying? Like
Yeah. So
you
for you,
feel it
it's like a
somewhere different?
very, I mean, and there's different ways that you can connect with this idea. There's like human design, which is one of your podcasts is about human design, right? And that one is a one way that that intuition may show up for you, depending on your design type. But there are also different ways that we can connect with our intuition. Like for me personally, it shows up as sometimes something I hear, so almost like a
Oh,
voice in my head, but not really. Like it doesn't sound like someone who's speaking to me. Like it doesn't sound like what you sound like right now, but it does sound like a voice in my head, something
mm.
communicating with me. Other times it shows up for
Oh.
me as like a thought, um, almost like sometimes it's words, like words that I can see in my head or images or pictures that I can see in my
Mm.
mind. In the beginning, I could only connect with that when I had my eyes closed. So often when I was meditating, that's when I would notice these things. And I guess the more that I've dived into it and the more that I've committed to reconnecting to my intuition, the more that it really starts to show up, even when I'm like in the middle of something.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
That's
interesting. Another way that it sometimes shows up for me now as well is and this doesn't happen often, but sometimes I can smell
you
something.
can smell something.
Yeah, it hasn't happened many times, but sometimes I just get this odd smell, which there's no way that whatever it is that I'm smelling is like actually near me.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I have to spend a lot of time thinking about what that actually is. Like what's
Yeah.
the smell and what does it mean? Um but then similar to you, I also get like a physical, like a gut feeling or or like goosebumps or energy running up my spine.
Mm.
That's one that like I normally get like a shiver because I'm like, oh, like hold on, there's something's trying to like tell me about what we're talking about or what's happening right now. And so they're just like some that I've discovered really recently because I always used to think that it was only a gut feeling.
Well, that's what I thought too.
And so it may not appear for some people, like if you are a generator or a manifesting generator, that can often be how it shows up. Or it can even show up if if you have an emotional authority. It may even show up as like feeling, like you actually feel emotion. So you might feel like joy or happiness or excitement about something, and that's really telling you, you know, which path is going to light you up. Um,
Yep, yep.
and yeah, and so everyone is slightly different, and when we can begin to understand that, then we can start to like experiment, which is what I encourage like anyone who wants to reconnect with their intuition, that you can actually start to experiment with how that shows up for you. Um it's fun, and I'm not going to lie, sometimes it's really like confusing. Like
Well, yeah, especially if you're smelling things and you're like,
yeah.
"What is this smell? Where's it coming from?"
Yeah, smelling for me has come up like I've smelt the one that is like the most clear to me is was like a perfume smell. And I was like outside with like no one around me. So it's not like someone walked past me and I got like a whiff of their like
Yeah.
perfume,
Yep.
but it was just, and it was a very strong florally smell that like I just connected with like a scent that like elderly people use.
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay, yep.
Right, and so I was just like, "Oh, that's really interesting," and so I had to kinda sit back with that and really think about why that might be coming through for me and what that represents. Um, yeah, I still am a bit confused by that one. I'm still like, "Yo, universe, I don't know what was I don't know what was up with that one, so I'm just gonna park it to the side for now."
Until I figure it out.
Yeah, until I work out, like, why.
But it's set like, it's fun, like, I think, like, for me, the hardest thing has been, like, you just have to surrender to
Yes.
whatever is coming to you
Yeah, and
and not
trust.
judge it, yeah, and trust and all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
then I feel like it comes more and you understand it more
Yes.
once
Well,
you
the
let
more
go.
that you seek it, the more that you'll find, right? Like if
Mm,
you're not looking for it, it's not just going to appear on your lap. It's something that you have to, I had to consciously commit to wanting to reconnect with it, and that's how it started to grow and become 100% how I do my coaching. It is
mm.
completely intuitive. Um like, how many times have I told you we'd be on a call and I'll say something and you'll be like, "Wait, can you say that again?" And I'm, like, stumped. I was like, "Oh, I don't actually know what I said." Like, I have to really, like, sit back and be like, "Wait, what was I even saying just then?" And it's not because it was because it just came to me kind of intuitively. So I like to
Mm,
think of intuition as, like, a channel. So
mm,
I'm like I'm channeling like my intuition, and it's allowing communication, information, stuff that I've stored in like my subconscious or unconscious mind, and it's allowing it to kind of move forward. And when I allow that, it actually makes coaching so much easier because
mhm.
I don't have to think, and I don't have to worry about, do I know everything?
Yeah.
It's been really learning to trust that the message or the medicine that the people I work with need will come through when I align myself with my intuition. And that's like the essence of my coaching. Like I've done
Yep.
certificates, I've done like I've been coaching for years, and this is probably the most authentic and the most effortless coaching I've done, but I also find that it's the most powerful and it's the most potent
Mhm.
way for me to coach. Yeah, cuz sometimes it feels like I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I you taught me that too, like, what is meant to come out was meant to come out, and whoever was meant to listen to it.
Mhm.
Because 'cause I've had some guests on the podcast that are nervous
Yeah.
because, it is nerve-wracking, and they're like, "What if I forget something?" And I'm like, I literally say exactly the same thing that you said to me. Whatever is meant to come out is meant to come out. Do not stress.
Yeah.
It just puts you at ease too,
Yeah, and it
just a
allows you
little
to
bit.
flow because you're not
Mm,
I mean, I stopped writing scripts and dot points a while ago because I just found that when I did that, I would always my eyes would always be darting to, like,
yeah,
check that I'm right and that I'm on track and that I haven't missed anything, and so I was like, "Man, I have to get rid of that shit because when I have it like, I'm not allowing what needs to come through to actually come through in that moment."
yeah.
Um, and and so I stopped, and it was really scary. Like, I
Oh,
did it,
yeah.
and I was just like, "What is gonna happen? What am I gonna say?" And I still have that thought. Like, I still will do, like, my women's circles and everything. Like, I'll go in, and I'll be like, "I wonder what's gonna come out of me today. This is gonna be
I know, you
interesting."
literally you literally just jump in and you're like, "Yep, we're just getting started," and I'm like, "Oh my god, she doesn't have any notes. She
Yeah.
doesn't have anything." Like nothing.
And that was a big learning for me to let go of the
Yeah,
notes and to trust my intuition and,
yeah.
like, exactly what you said, to surrender to not needing to know,
Mm,
like,
mhm.
consciously know, and trusting that my inner wisdom will come through and allow me to deliver whatever it is that I need to deliver.
Yeah.
And that
Oh,
was it's so funny because it sounds like you give up. Like, it sounds like, "I'm just surrendering, I'm just trusting," but actually, it's, like, the most powerful thing you can do. It's not actually a sign of, like, laziness or, it's not because I don't wanna make notes that I don't make notes. It's that I've really learned as especially the last year of, like, building my business, is that the more that I stepped away from needing to know what to say and know
mm,
what to do, like, the better the results have been for my clients.
mm.
And that, like, watching that blows my mind because it just reaffirms for me that, yeah, like, intuition can be really powerful.
Yeah, and I think too is like letting go of that being perfect. Like
Yes.
you've let go of that.
It still
Um,
gets me. It
yeah, I'm
still
sure.
sneaks up from time to time, and I'm like, "I thought we worked through this. I don't know why you're back here, but okay." And, but for the most part, yeah, like, trusting that it will be imperfectly perfect. Like, it will
Mm,
be what is, like, genuine and authentic for me, and that I can just allow that to flow.
mm,
Because I trust that, like, the people that come to me, the people that are interested in what I talk about and what I say, is because it's not the knowledge that I give them. There's something about my energy that they're
mm,
attracted to, and that's what they wanna learn how to embody and how to
mhm,
be in flow with that energy. Um, and so using, like, my beautiful human brain, I've tried to, like, really create something that allows people to explore how do you get back in touch with that part of yourself that allows you to flow. And
mhm.
yeah, we experiment. I mean, you and I, we experimented heaps. Like, what's, like, an experiment that you've done around building your intuition?
Oh, we just spoke about it this week when we
Mm,
had our chat, was the whole eating thing. Because like, I know so much about food and what to have and whatnot, and I find myself, like, preparing because 'cause I'm a preparer and I'm an organizer, and then when it gets to the meal, I'm just like, "Ugh, I don't really feel like it." But really practicing that intuition and just trusting that you know what happened though? Last night, when we were talking about how, like, I do prepare meals and whatever.
mm.
Last night, I got the kids from kinder, I prepared dinner, and I made it, right? But I like starting from scratch. And then I looked at the time, and I'm like, "No way. No way it's 5:30." Right? Because usually by then, I've only just started making dinner, but we had already finished somehow. I don't know what happened. And I'm like, "We finished eating at 5:30, but I did more in the whole preparation thing." Like, I must have just been lost in what I was doing,
Yeah,
focused and whatever, and I
in
didn't even.
flow, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, "No. Fi
That's amazing. Well,
Why
because
are we
that
eating
kind of
so early?"
that shows you that, as much as, like, I'm all for meal planning, I'm one of those people that I have, like, a board and I write down, like, the meals that I want to eat during the week and that I'm going to use to feed everyone.
Yeah.
And but like what that kind of highlights is that sometimes we give ourselves too many rules.
Mm.
You know, like when you do your meal plan and the meal prep at the start of the week, all those rules kind of almost stifle you in a way because you're like, am I doing it right? Did I get this? Did I get that? Like you're just questioning everything. Whereas that flow where you were just like, you're like, yeah, let's just do this and get this and eat this
Yeah.
and whatever. And then all of a
So
sudden you're like, oh crap, like it's so early because you weren't judging or questioning everything that you were doing. You were allowing yourself to surrender to the process.
yeah.
And it was like, bang, it's done.
Like, it was crazy. It was like 6 o'clock, and I'm like, "Okay, so what do I do now?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, kids are bathed, like, literally everything was done, and I was like, "Shit."
Yeah.
Like
That's happens to me a lot in my business. So sometimes when I write like a list of shit to do for the day, I just find that it just drags. Like it
mm.
just like I literally like I look and I'm like, "Oh man, where did that 3 hours go? I've done like one thing on my list." And so I started doing, which Pat actually taught me this, and he named this. We call it a to done list, which means that at the start of the day, I actually sometimes I'll do maybe one thing that I really need to do that day, like one thing that's like due. Like if I don't
Yeah.
do this, I'm in deep shit. And then the rest I leave blank.
Mm.
And then what I do is I just kind of follow where I'm guided to do. Like, is it to reply to this, fix my Calendly, whatever, check in with this person, and just allow myself to flow. And then as I do it, I write it down on my list and then I cross it
Mm.
off because I love that. That's sexy to me.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
and then and the reason that I do that is I think it's really appeasing my ego because even
Mm.
though I know I did stuff, without the list, I'm still deconditioning from, like, that I actually did things. Because I often feel
Mhm.
like I didn't, and I'm sure you experience the same thing with dinner. You're probably sitting there like, "What did I even do? Did I even do
Mm.
anything? How am I done so early?" And it's because when we're in flow, we sometimes kind of take for granted the the essence that flow gives us, and we just kind of move through. And so to prove to myself that I was actually getting shit done and that I was actually working towards the success of my business, I started using this practice of
Mm.
writing down things after I'd done them. So that at the end of the day, I could be like, whoa, yeah. Like when I can allow myself to flow because stuff still gets done.
Yeah. 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 Not even that stuff on the list, like, as in what you would have written.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally get it.
Right.
I
And
need
it's
to
like,
start
it's
doing
really
that.
powerful because it's taught me that I can trust my intuition,
Mm.
that it will guide me to do the things that need to be done and that I don't have to be so in control all the
Mm.
damn time.
Yep. Yep. Oh, it's hard work. It's
It's not,
hard
and
work.
yeah, and that's the
Not easy.
deconditioning, letting that
Yeah.
go because we've been taught that we have to plan and that we
Mm.
have to be structured and that we have to be organized because if we're not those things, then things will fall apart. And so
Mhm.
my challenge would be like, what if that wasn't necessarily true?
Mm. Yeah.
And like your dinner story proves that it's not necessarily true.
Yeah. And, like, I love it when things like this happen because then I can look back when I am having those moments of, "Oh my god, I haven't prepared anything, and what am I gonna do?"
Yeah.
Just calm yourself, I'm safe.
Yeah.
Look what happened the other night. Like,
Yes.
we were done,
Yeah. Like
and we
it's
didn't starve.
evidence, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
evidence
evidence.
that you're capable and that you can make it. Like that
Yep.
that the whole world's not going to fall apart because you
Yep.
didn't prep your veggies and buy all your groceries and do all of the stuff. Like actually it will come together. And sometimes, look, does it always work? No. There are days where
No.
I allow my intuition to flow and I look at my list and I go, I didn't do anything today. Whoops. Or that didn't go to plan. That's okay too. You
Yeah.
know, but that happened even when I did plan.
Mm. Mhm.
Like even when I had the list and I set everything up and I made rules around what time I had to get up and when I had to do things and blah 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 blah, and it's like this whole list. Like even when I did that, I still like messed it up.
Yeah.
So which for me it was kind of like, okay, can I just allow myself to be either or both depending on what I need each day? Like some days I
Mm.
do need the structure because if I don't, it's going to drive me freaking bonkers.
Yeah.
So I give myself that gift so that I can like regulate my nervous system and move forward. But there are other times where the thought of the list makes me feel anxious.
But that's even just giving yourself flow to say yes or no, I am gonna
Yeah.
write a list or not, and yeah.
Yeah, and because it's not like binary or black and white. It's not like you have to be intuitive or you otherwise you're not intuitive. It's like in using your intuition allows you to choose when to really lean into that extra sense and when not to.
Mm.
There are
Mhm.
times where like my intuition gives me information about stuff and I go, "Oh, that person is not ready for that information. We are not saying that today." Like like I will get this information I go, "Oh my god, that is okay, no." So you can still use discernment with your
Yeah.
intuition.
Yeah.
It's not that your intuition is always right. Um it's not that it's wrong, it's just that maybe it's like not yet.
Mm.
Or
Mhm.
maybe it's like, maybe say that a different way. Sometimes a message from my intuition will come through and it's just so direct. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to go down well. How could I say this a different way?
How can we be more nicer?
Yeah. How could I make them not want to punch me in the face?
Yeah. So, like, why is tuning in just so important?
Oh my
Like,
God. I
your
love this
intuition?
question. So, because I actually didn't know why I wanted to connect with my intuition for a really long time. And it's become clearer to me now why. And we just have this. So we live in like this amazing time where
Mm.
we have access to so much information. Right. Now, not everyone has access to all this information, but many of us do. If you think about like being able to jump on the internet and just ask a simple question about anything, our ability to go see professionals about different things, and then social media gives us more information, and then anything, we can get books and watch documentaries or watch shows, and we just get all of this information like thrown at us all the time. And the amazing thing about our subconscious is that it has this ability to absorb all of it.
Mm.
Now, that's amazing. And it's also really confusing
Yeah.
because there is so much noise. There is so many things telling you what you should or shouldn't do, you know, how to, for anything from how to take care of your hair to what clothes to wear to how to feed your kids to what supplements to take to how to move your body, how to not die, how to live longer, how to like all of these things, right? There's just so much
Yeah.
information always being thrown at us. And for every thing that says to do something. So let's say, like the example that I used in my masterclass is like, if you go on the internet and Google why coffee will keep you alive longer, you will find it, right?
Mm.
Like you will
Yep.
literally find all these things that say how amazing it is because it's full of antioxidants and this, that, and whatever. And it's going to keep you alive forever. And you're like, wow, that's amazing. I have to drink coffee. I never drank coffee before, but now I have to drink it because it says so, right? But if you also go on the internet and you type in why coffee is going to kill you, you will also find that too, because there's stuff like adrenal fatigue and like too much caffeine and the impact that that has. And then you're sitting there going, well, like, what the hell do I do now? Because one site, like a whole bunch of stuff says it's going to keep me alive. And then the other stuff is telling me that it's going to kill me. Like, what's the real answer, right?
Yeah.
That literally can happen. And then there's variations of that. There are things that are going to say something in between.
Mhm.
And so that doesn't just apply to coffee, that applies to nearly everything in our life. That if you want to find the information to support a particular um, idea, you will find it. And if you
Yeah.
want to find something that's going to go against it, you'll also find that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, why is intuition so important? Because you need to find the answer that's in alignment for you. So, sure, maybe the caffeine is causing adrenal fatigue, which, is going to kill you, but you love it.
Mm.
Like, it's like it is the thing that you love it. You love the taste, you love the experience of it. You love when you catch up with your girlfriends and you go and get a coffee together. Like, it's more than just caffeine. It's also an experience and a feeling. And if you choose for that to be like important in your life, that you feel that it's in alignment for you, then it's okay to drink the coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you do find that, it is making you super stressed because you're super hyped on your coffee because you have like 4 a day
Mm.
and you go, "I don't know if this is serving me anymore." Intuition allows you to go, "You know what? I might take a break from coffee for a while so that I can get back down to like 1 cup a day."
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you have to listen to external information all the time, you're going to be really confused. And I would say that most people are always really confused.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely one of them. So I've I'm very I get so inspired. Like I love health. I love all of that stuff and anything to make me feel good or be in the best health that I can, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So if you told me to do this, I'd do it. I'd try it,
Yeah.
right? And I found that I was doing so many things for my health that I didn't know what was good or bad
Yeah.
for
Or what
me.
was actually serving you and what wasn't serving you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So just really, it's been so hard just to cut back and be like, okay, what do I feel like eating? Not what I have to eat.
Yeah.
What supplements should I be taking? Not what I, you know, should be taking.
Yeah. And what
Um,
feels right, for
mm,
you in any given moment. And that's what intuition allows you to access. Is that it allows you to connect with like your authentic self so that
yeah.
you can make decisions for yourself that are authentic and genuine and in integrity with who you are. Because how often have we done things and then felt regret or resentment
Mm,
because we listened to someone else or something else outside of ourselves, when deep down inside we'd actually would have chose different for ourselves.
yeah.
And that's why intuition is so important from my perspective. Because it's allowed me to make decisions for myself, even when everyone else tells me, like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like cultivating this sense has allowed me to sit in my authority, to sit in my authenticity with like commitment and loyalty to my own inner wisdom and
Yeah.
my own inner knowing. And so when people tell me I'm wrong, I just smile or I laugh and I go, maybe,
Mm,
but that's okay that you think that,
yeah.
because it feels right for me in this moment and I'm willing to do what it takes to stay in alignment and to honor myself and honor my needs, because no one else is going to do it for me. And I've lived the life of regret and resentment and blaming other people for telling me to do something and then it didn't work
Yeah.
out. And it was like, you know what? Like, it's not actually them that I'm mad at, it's myself because I didn't listen to myself.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And that's why I teach this, because I want people to be able to listen to their own inner wisdom and their own inner knowing. It's like, even when you don't need me to tell you when you've made a mistake. Like, how many times have we jumped on a call and you've said to me, "Look, I did this thing and I know that like it wasn't in alignment for me and I could hear your voice in my head saying da 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 da." Like, I don't actually have to say anything. Most of my clients jump on the
Mm,
call and they know that I would never say to them like, "Why would you do that?" or "How could you do that?" I'm
yeah.
always just like, "Yeah, I get it." And I also trust that you have your own inner navigation system that's guiding you on when you've made the wrong turn for yourself or when you've made the right turn for yourself. I don't actually have to say anything. All I do is I activate your own inner accountability so that you
Mm.
acknowledge when you've made a wrong decision for yourself so that you can get back into alignment. Like, that's my
Yeah.
role as a coach, and it is encouraging you and challenging you to go deeper into your inner wisdom, into your intuition, so that you can do this shit on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
And
giving us a
that's why
gift.
it's so powerful. Like, when I think about freedom, I'm like, "Wow, tapping into my intuition, that's been freedom for me."
Mhm.
Because I can make decisions, and even if I feel fear, or even if I'm worried about, oh, like, okay, like, we're gonna make this decision, like, okay, let's just go for it. It's like I can sleep at night because I know that even if it didn't work out the way I planned, or it came out better than what I planned, like, I honored my own inner knowing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's what helps me feel good about everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. Like, I can feel good about all of it because I know that I did it in alignment with myself.
Mhm.
And so then I
Yeah.
don't really regret any of it. And I don't resent anyone for it
Mhm.
because it was always me. And I realized that that was my power. That was my superpower.
Yep. And if it didn't work out, you've learned something,
Oh,
how to do
always.
it a different way or
Always, always,
what not to
always.
do.
All the times that I burnt out, all the times
Yep.
that things felt like a complete failure, all the times that I ended up crying because I was like, "Why did I do that?" Like, every time I've always come out the other end and gone, "Oh my god, I've learned so much about me and my business and other humans that this is amazing, and now I can keep moving forward."
Yeah. Oh, so I know probably everyone's like, "Okay, so how do I start getting back in touch with it? Like, what do I need to do?"
What do I need to do? Okay, so this I'm gonna give you the super basic thing that you need to do for your intuition. And it is to create stillness and space for your intuition to come through. Because our intuition is very different to our ego. Our ego can be very loud and sometimes obnoxious, and it's like repeats itself a million times. In order to hear your intuition or uh, to sense your intuition, you need to be still. Now, this doesn't mean you're doing nothing, right? But if we think about our lives and the busyness of our lives, like we're always rushing and thinking about a million things at once, stillness is really more about having the space and without distraction. Like, I often
Mm.
will, like, I love to paint. And sometimes when I'm painting, I'll often do it without music and I'm just lying on the floor painting. And then that's when information starts to come through and I go, whoa,
Mm.
interesting. Or when I'm having a shower, or when I'm driving, or when I'm cooking. And it's often in those moments of like where you're really present and you're not constantly being pulled in a million directions. That's when your intuition can come through. If you wait for that to happen to you, if you wait for to have that space and that stillness for intuition to come through, it may never happen. And so if you want to connect with your intuition, it's about building the the boundaries so that you can have that space for yourself, whether it is to go for a 15-minute walk on your own, or being able to go have a shower on your own, or sitting in the car, like whatever it is that like you have to build the space for you to
Mhm.
connect with it. Because otherwise, it's, I guess, what's always been happening in our lives. It pops in randomly when we least suspect it. And sometimes not when it's like when we need it.
Yep. Yep.
And so, like, really being committed to that space,
Mm.
adjusting your lifestyle so that it has space for
Yep.
you to receive whatever it is that you need to receive from your intuition. um that's like the first step. And then you can start to get a little bit like fancy with how you start to explore different aspects of your intuition. But the very first step is, can you create even 5 minutes in your day to receive from your intuition?
Yeah. Just like, yeah, like you said, sitting still, no noise. Like sometimes I go for a walk without any music or not listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
Sometimes I drive and I turn down the volume if I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Just allowing the thoughts just to come through. And that too takes practice because sometimes, like at the start, it was just like "Meow, meow, 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 meow,"
Yeah.
in my mind. But then you just learn to, yeah, just quieten down and,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it happens, right? Like,
yeah,
the more that you do it, the more that it, like, I'm sure some of your craziest ideas have come through when you've just been in those moments of stillness, and it's just dropped in, and you're like, "Whoa, where did that come
yeah.
from?"
Where'd it come from?
Yeah, and it's like, well, it came from your intuition, so that's where it came from. Your higher self, that's really where
Mm,
our intuition can come from, and yeah, and I mean, that's a whole other kettle
that's
of
a
fish when we
yes,
start
that's
talking
not
about the ego and the higher self and all that jazz. Um, but yeah, that's it. Just commit to creating space in your life to receive that
mm,
intuition.
oh,
Um,
love it.
it's
Great tips.
yeah, really magical. I mean, you would know. It's so magical when you're in alignment with it.
Yeah, yeah. It's just practice.
Yeah.
Practicing, trusting, and
Yeah. It's
yep.
like working out and your nutrition,
Yeah.
right? Like it's the commitment to it and the, keeping it on the regular, and that's how, like, your body heals and you get stronger and all the good
Mhm.
things. That's how you get your booty gains.
Yep.
So it's the same with your intuition. It's a practice.
Yeah. Oh, this has been such a fun chat. I know we could like chat for so much longer, but is there anything else that you wanted to add or share about intuition?
No, I
Mm.
think that's all I've got. But look, if you are interested in a little bit more, like Carmel mentioned at the start, I did a masterclass in my Facebook group, Healing Our Hearts. It's free, so you can just jump in there and it's recorded. So you'll be able to scroll down and find it. I talk a little bit about what we've spoken about today, but I also give a little bit more tips and tricks and a bit more information about it. So if you want to check that out, that's there for you. And yeah, and that's where you can find me. You can find me there, or you can find me on Instagram. I've got a couple of cool things coming up on the gram, so I'm pretty excited about it, and it will connect back with intuition as well. So you can find me there too.
Awesome. Well, everything will be in the show notes, where to find you and all of that stuff. But thank you so much for coming on for another chat. Love our
Yay!
chats.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me. I love it. This is so fun.
Awesome.
Bye.